Did you just get out of jail?
Yes, sir.
When? Okay, you didn't just get out of jail. When you come to court, come dressed appropriately. Shorts is not appropriate for court. It's a complete sign of disrespect. You understand? Okay, if you do it again, I'm gonna put you out. You're charged with interference with the duties of a public servant. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir. All right?
Yes, Judge. On February 3rd, 2025, at approximately 11:53 p.m., the officer observed a vehicle on a public road with a defective front left headlamp, and the officer ran a check on the vehicle and it returned with unconfirmed insurance. A traffic stop was initiated, and the defendant quickly exited the vehicle, and the officer gave multiple commands for him to get back inside and shut the door. The defendant stated he wasn't going to, and the officer had no reason to pull him over. The defendant then walked back and got inside the vehicle, but held his feet outside the car and did not shut the door. From the officer's trained experience, he has seen situations where the driver would sit like that, then leap from the car and try to hurt officers, and the defendant put his feet into the car and the officer approached. The vehicle had 2 young children, but not a car seat, standing in the front passenger seat, and the officer asked the defendant several times for his name, and the defendant stated he could not because the officer was fucking with him. The officer informed the defendant of the legitimate reason for the traffic stop, and the defendant continued to refuse to provide his name. The officer asked the defendant to exit the vehicle, and the defendant then refused. The officer went to grab the defendant's wrist, and the defendant pulled away from the officer and other deputies. The deputies advised the defendant that he was going to be tased, and the defendant exited the vehicle. The defendant stated he wasn't going in handcuffs and resisted by tensing his arms and body and concealing his hands towards his front waistband. The defendant was taken to the ground where he continued to resist. After several commands, the defendant was going to be tased. The defendant finally put his hands behind his back.
All right, Mr. Collier, I'm gonna find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. Can you run his license to see if he has a valid Texas driver license?
I'll run it right now, Your Honor. It's eligible, Your Honor.
Mr. Collier, I'm gonna find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. I'm not putting any conditions on your bond. Just be careful. You get into a pissing match with people who have the power of arrest, who's gonna win? You know what I mean?
Sir.
Just, it's a logical conclusion. That's all it is. Just be careful when you're out there. Life's hard enough. As an African-American in today's society, don't make it any harder, you know?
Sir.
You want to apply for an appointed lawyer?
Sir.
All right, I'm going to give you an application. I'll have you sign and reset with Billy. I'm not putting any conditions on your bond. Just be careful. That's it. All right? Come on, man. Good morning, Mr. Blanco. Sir, you're charged with terroristic threat on a public servant. That elevates it to a Class A misdemeanor, so you're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you.
It's Judge. On February 3rd, 2024, the officer was dispatched to Eastside Transportation and made contact with the complainant, a bus driver. The complainant explained that she made an exception to her usual route to drop off a student closer to home. When the complainant was halfway to the student's home, she opened the doors to let the student off, and the defendant approached the bus doors and appeared to grip an area where his firearm was located at his hip. The defendant asked the complainant if she planned to write up his daughter, and the complainant said yes. The defendant then took a few steps back and lifted his shirt to expose his firearm while making threatening statements. The complainant was in fear for her life and did not want to come back to work, and the officer confirmed the incident by bus camera footage. And specifically, the defendant lifted his shirt to expose his firearm while continuing to make threatening statements, telling the complainant, "I got you." And then seeing the firearm, the complainant quickly closed the bus doors to leave. And as they were closing, the defendant lifted his shirt again to display the firearm, still repeating, "I got you."
Mr. Blanco, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. Look, I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to be in possession of weapons. Do you understand? As long as you can abide by these conditions, you and I will be fine. If I find that you pick up a new case, you have any kind of weapons, I will revoke your bond, put you in jail. No more PR bonds. Do you understand? Now you have a lawyer. Good job on having a lawyer. Because you have one, I will waive your appearance, but it is your responsibility to stay in touch with him, and he'll tell you when you have to come back to court. If he tells me he can't get a hold of you because you're, ducking and dodging and playing games, I will issue a warrant for your arrest. I'm not asking much. I just want my public to be safe. You understand? All right, so I'm going to have you sign a receipt with Billy. We'll have you take a seat while we get your bond conditions. We'll have you sign it, and then you'll be free to go. All right. You file no weapons, please.
No,
And then no contact.
No contact.
Yeah, please. Ready?
Rory Johnson, step up, please.
Coming up, Mr. Johnson, right here. Mr. Johnson, you were charged with evading arrest and detention. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present if you cannot afford one. One will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On February 3rd, 2025, the officer observed a vehicle with no proof of financial responsibility. The officer also observed the registered owner of the vehicle to have an open warrant out of Harris County. The vehicle ran a red light and stopped past the designated stopping point, and the vehicle turned north, driving quickly as to elude the officer's patrol vehicle. The defendant pulled into a driveway. The defendant got out of the driver's seat as the officer attempted to initiate a traffic stop with emergency equipment for the traffic violations and conduct the investigation. The officer told the defendant to come to him, and the defendant began to evade on foot. The officer told the defendant to stop, but the defendant continued running, jumping over fences before he was taken into custody. The defendant evaded for approximately 100 to 200 yards and was identified based on his ID and name.
What was the basis of the stop again?
So no proof of financial responsibility and running a red light.
Got it. All right, Mr. Johnson, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm telling you now, you're extremely lucky that this is a misdemeanor. This is your third. On a second, it's a felony offense. You're very lucky. Can you run his license, please?
It's ineligible, not eligible, Your Honor.
Have you signed an affidavit with me today, Mr. Johnson? I don't care what's going on in your life. Do not drive. Do you understand? This is an affidavit that you're going to be promising me you're not going to drive. If you want to drive, go get a license, get liability insurance, and I will take this restriction off. But if I find that you do, I can have a contempt hearing. You can be facing an additional 6 months in jail and a $500 fine every time you drive. Do you understand? Do you have the ability to hire a lawyer, Mr. Johnson? So I'll have you fill out an application. I'll take a look at it to see whether you qualify. I'm going to have you come up here, swear to us that you're not going to drive. I'm going to get you to Billy to sign a reset, and then we'll take a look, fill it out. Don't pick up any new cases. Do you understand? You are lucky that this is not a felony offense right now as it is. So
the night begins with a broken headlamp and unconfirmed insurance. Mr. Collier, defiant in shorts, exits his vehicle as if daring the deputy. He refuses commands, keeps his feet outside the door, and hides his hands near his waistband. 2 young children stand in the front seat, no car seat. When the officer grabs his wrist, Collier pulls away, tenses his body, and has to be taken to the ground. The judge finds probable cause, but warns him gently. Life is hard enough as an African American in today's society. Don't make it harder. Then the terror arrives. Mr. Blanco approaches a school bus after his daughter is written up. He grips his hip, lifts his shirt to expose a firearm, and repeats, "I got you." The bus driver fears for her life. The camera footage confirms everything. The judge orders no weapons, no new cases, or jail. Blanco nods, but his silence feels like a promise kept. Finally, Mr. Johnson. A red light run. A vehicle with an open warrant. When the officer flashes his lights, Johnson doesn't stop. He runs. Over fences, through yards, 200 yards of pure evasion. This is his third offense. One more step and it becomes a felony. The judge hands him an affidavit. Do not drive. Johnson signs, but his eyes say he's already looking for the nearest exit. 3 men. 3 moments where fear turned into fight. The judge offers mercy, but mercy only works if you stop running. In this courtroom, the gavel doesn't create consequences. It just catches up to the ones you've already earned. The real question isn't whether they'll obey. It's how long before we see them again.